I was but a wee lad in the late 90s when I got my first video game, Pokemon Blue, on a purple, thick plastic Nintendo Game Boy Color. I told Professor Oak I was a boy named Bobby, I snagged myself a Squirtle, and I left Pallet Town for good, through the tall grass laden with Rattata and Pidgey. That game hooked me on adventure. It set a precedent for me that exploration is dangerous. I still use that original Pokemon battle music in my D&D games today. But even in those days, I did my best to avoid many random encounters, for the same reason that many D&D players and DMs critique them today. They seem to take away from the adventure instead of enhancing it. I've seen a bunch of videos and read a few articles with smart, but often conflicting ideas on how to use random encounters well. So the purpose of this video is to establish a foundation upon which you can build random encounters that are right for your group's story. Timestamps in the description. The Dungeon Master's Guide defines encounters as the individual scenes in the larger story of your adventure. In other words, your entire game can be broken down into a series of encounters, but random encounters are described as a way to deliver the unexpected. They represent obstacles and events that advance the plot, foreshadow important elements or themes of the adventure, and provide fun distractions. Therefore, random encounters should be fun, unexpected scenes that reinforce the themes of your campaign. They're a critical part of simulating your living world, so they should be just as diverse as any other encounter, and the only distinction should be their random occurrence. The frequency of random encounters should be determined by 4 things: the purpose, the location, the type, and the fun. They can be used to create urgency and keep players on track, assist the party or drain their resources, and introduce unique details about your world. They can be in the wilderness, the city, or in dungeons, and they can be NPCs, traps, puzzles, natural phenomena, or of course, combat. Fun should be a given with unexpected and thematic, but I'm going to keep bringing it up because crafting an enjoyable experience is the only part of DMing that really matters. Classic example. You want to keep your party on edge during a dungeon delve using booby traps every 15 minutes of gameplay. The purpose aligns with the type and location, but this wouldn't be fun for long for most groups, depending on the scope of this dungeon. In this case, we won't change our purpose. We can't really change our location, and if we reduce the frequency of encounters, it may increase the fun, but then we will fail to maintain tension, which was our whole goal. So, we adapt the type. An even mix of traps and natural phenomena can help balance fun and tension. Tremors, distant screams, a pit trap, mysterious whispers, a flooding chamber, poison darts, and rooms that are too hot or wet or smelly. This also keeps our rogue from hogging the spotlight, detecting and disarming traps for the whole session. All the while, the bones in the pit trap should reflect the history of this location, and the screams and smells should foreshadow what lies deeper in the story of this dungeon. Once you create your list, you can randomly plug those encounters into your dungeon at any time, and your players will finally see you as the master of dungeons, and that's fun. But the contents of that list and how you plug them in can be just as important. Random encounter generation. Their pre-game creation and in-game selection is often the root cause of unfun, unthematic, and unexpected random encounters today. The available tables in books and online are super easy to use, but they're not designed for your group, so you'll find yourself rolling several times to pick an encounter that meets your criteria. This repeated rolling quickly makes the encounter feel less random and more like you must have done something wrong if it doesn't end up being fun. So one way to make tables more fun is to have a player roll for the result. This is a good way to keep your party engaged and to give the player a little ownership of whatever happens next. And I highly recommend letting your players come up with a few encounters that they would love to see at some point in the campaign. When they come up, you're guaranteed to have at least one excited player, and this is a great way to introduce group world building during your session 0. And if tables just aren't your thing, you could literally take turns picking encounters out of a hat, or try my new favorite method, cards. These are the Outlander and Outlander Quickening decks from Venger's Decks. Full disclosure, Scott, the lead designer, did send me these for free, but as always, I'll be sharing my unfiltered opinion. Both decks contain 50 encounters for wilderness travel in any setting, and any D&D-ish TTRPG system. The main difference is that the standard deck includes titles, thorough hooks and objectives, and potential conflicts, resolutions, and twists for each card, while the Quickening deck just has adventure hooks, and a much larger font size. So one of these decks may be better for you, depending on your DM style. The cards themselves are glossy and about the same thickness as normal playing cards, and they're a little longer, which makes them great for fanning them out and letting your players choose from the deck. Both decks are color-coded, red for combat, green for non-combat, and they have these cartoon art pieces by Fiona Ruthven of an adventuring party getting into some hijinks. They come with a few stickers of these characters, and they have free character sheet PDFs on the website. I love how bare bones these Quickening cards are. A nest of large eggs is floating on a bed of water. One begins to crack as the party approaches. Something large is then heard approaching. Parents? Predators? Egg snatchers? How many eggs are there? What do they look like? What creature do they belong to? And what creature is coming? It's all up to you. So these are a great way to practice your DM improvisational skills or spark inspiration during game prep. Now for the other half of random encounter generation, let's continue with wilderness encounters, where we completely open up the possibilities of purpose, location, and type. As a baseline, I recommend determining the weather every day during travel. This can be done before the session, but it's more fun in the moment. If you're trying to drain resources, minimize the probability of rain. Maybe droughts are a common feature of this region, allowing you to share something unique about your setting. Or maybe the drought is related to the nefarious plans of the big bad evil guy whom your party has yet to encounter. Wherever they are, pick a few ecologically accurate monsters for the region, and maybe include some non-native flora and fauna introduced by early settlers, and some notably low populations related to this drought going on. Fellow travelers may be asking for water and more prone to thievery, but all creatures will be more active at night, making the chance of a nighttime combat proportionately higher for your party. But wait, the fun levels are dropping. Every day there's a 50% chance of meeting a druid who can cast Create Water. Maybe these druids are allies of an important faction in your setting, or their leader is distantly related to one of the PCs. Not everything needs to be connected, but linking random encounters to your overarching story is easy when you control the location, the purpose, and the type, and you let your players help by designing and selecting random encounters to increase the fun. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to help me make better videos in the future. Thank you for your support, thank you for watching, and keep building.